Okay, so welcome. Here is the simple guide for the Solo Power Berserker. Let's have a look straight away with the armor. So all of the armor is power-based armor, of course. Power, precision, and ferocity. The rune I've gone for is Rune of the Ogre. The traditional, or the meta, if you like, would be to use the Rune of the Scholar. The reason I like to go for the Rune of the Ogre is two reasons. First is item 6 in the rune list is the only difference between the two. I lose the 125 ferocity, but I have ferocity elsewhere, so I'm not too worried about that. But the +5 damage that you get as a scholar is completely dependent on being above 90% in your health. Now, when you are a bit of a glass cannon build, a power build, sustainability and staying alive is not your forte, so you can easily expect your health to be dropping below 90% regularly, which means you'll be constantly losing your 5% damage on scholars. On the Ogre, the 4% damage is a constant. You never lose it, unlike scholars. Also, you'd be surprised how tough and how strong this little rock dog is. The number of times he has managed to, I've been able to just let him finish off an opponent. Remember that we are talking about PvE here, and dungeons and lower level fractals and story and all this kind of thing. You'd be amazed at what he can do, actually. So again, if you prefer the traditional scholars, then by all means put that in. But I like what the rock dog does for me, the distraction he can cause, and I like the constant 4%. I don't like to lose that damage when I've dipped below 90 as a power build. All the trinkets are, of course, the same, all power. I haven't put infusions in at the minute, but when I get round to that, it will be all power infusions that I use. Double axes, and of course a great sword. Now the sigils that I'm using, I like to use Sigil of Force and Sigil of the Night. Sigil of Force stands to reason. It's 5% damage constantly. We're aware of that, very familiar with it. The Sigil of the Night, outgoing damage is increased by 3%, so you get 3% as a standard. So between the Force and the Night, you're getting 8% extra damage stat. However, the night cycle is not our usual, as we would have it in the world, night cycle and day cycle. It is far, far quicker. And you might well find that you had not a lot of control over whether your battles were starting in the day or the night. To suddenly get a 7% increase through nothing else other than the daylight has changed is quite amazing. And it's just what I prefer. Again, go with what you prefer. Whatever you like the look of is absolutely fine. I've gone for the boost of 8%, 15% total extra damage, drop by 7% when the sun comes up, but that's all. Okay, let's go to the build. So in the build, I've started with arms. These are the ones, of course, you can't do anything about. These are the ones you need if they're going to be connected to the others. But the ones I have chosen, first of all, is Signet Mastery. As you can see on my skill bar, my utility bar, I've used a lot of signets there. Signets gain reduced charge and grant a stacking ferocity boon on use. Cast lesser signet of might when striking a foe below the health threshold. Now then, this is what I like about it. Okay, each of these signets has a ferocity of 100, lasting 1 minute. That means before my opening gander into a battle, I could stack, because they do stack, all 3 of these, and I'd have them back in 20 seconds maximum. I would be left with 40 seconds of 300 extra ferocity. And because it's only a 16-second cooldown, because of the reduce recharge, you can actually fire them off very quickly. You've got an enormous ferocity boon there. Here the burst skills inflict vulnerability if they hit, and inflict additional vulnerability if the attack is a critical hit. In other words, adding vulnerability is always a good thing when you're using a power build, and I liked my choice there. Finally, when it came to arms, attack speed is increased when wielding a main hand weapon in your offhand. So my attack speed when I'm in my dual axes is increased by 20%. Obviously, an increased attack speed is an increased damage, because it doesn't just stop and you just wait while the other 80% expires. Quite the opposite. You are back into with your next attack that much faster. Discipline. Obviously, again, you've got the three that you can't change: might on a weapon swap, faster weapon swap, and adrenaline on a weapon swap, all of which are very good for when you're trying to do a power build. Warrior sprint, again, as per the solo power spellbreaker, being able to move about faster is very good for warrior. You need it. And of course the extra 7% damage increase when you have swiftness. There's a number of ways you can get that. I'm running this banner here, which allows me to have an extra 100 precision and 100 ferocity. My power's already great, but I can do that banner. And this of course adds swiftness when you summon or pick up the banner. Now if we go back to where my swiftness, it was here, wasn't it? When you have swiftness, you do an extra 7% damage. So again, the banner is very helpful there. Finally, axe mastery. Gain the ferocity. So the banner had the precision and ferocity. Now extra ferocity, additional ferocity, and additional ferocity. And the recharge for axe is 20%. So you've got this extra ferocity, you've got a recharge on the axe of 20%, and here you're attacking 20% faster as well. Makes the double axes very hard to contend with. Finally, Berserker. So you have, as per usual, the three things that you cannot change. There you find that when you go into Berserker mode, you're getting a boost of 300 power. You lose 300 toughness, but you gain 300 power. The ones I've chosen is increase the Berserk mode duration. Obviously, this is a power Berserker build, a solo power Berserker build. So the more I can be in Berserker mode, the better it is for the whole build, and that increases it by 5 seconds. Here, receiving fatal damage while in Berserk mode ends Berserk mode and heals you. Incoming healing is increased. Now the healing here is 5,000, which is double what I've got here as my triggered heal signet. If I look what my other options are, a percentage of precision is given as bonus to ferocity. I've got enough ferocity. Gain condition damage. This is a power build. I don't need condition damage. So having this not only makes sense, but also as a little bit of a glass cannon build, to have this if you're about to die while you're in Berserker mode, to have a double the value of this triggered suddenly is very good indeed. And that doesn't even trigger this. You could have that on standby with a 10% increase as well. Finally, gain toughness while in Berserk mode. Well, here I lost toughness. In Berserk mode I gained 300 power but lost 300 toughness. By choosing this, I get the 300 toughness back. So all I've had by Berserk mode is getting 300 more power. And also, if I break any stuns while it's happening, I'll get stability and extra might as well. So that's the build. Let's have a look at the skills. So here you can see the utility skills, all of which have this for 1 minute ferocity, 300 potential. If you trigger at the start, you could even if you didn't want them to be on cooldown while you're fighting, you could even wait for the 16 seconds to go past and then charge in, remembering that this is PvE dungeons, a much more manageable situation than PvP or World v World, which this is not designed for, of course. Then you've got your banner there with extra precision and ferocity, and then this, which increases your adrenaline gain, but if you did decide to trigger it again, you'd get another 100 ferocity, as well as the might, fury and swiftness. And if you remember early on, we were traded for what happens when you get swiftness, another 7% damage, plus the 7% damage here is 14% damage, equals a whole lot of damage from this Solo Berserker build. Top things to remember is this isn't designed for PvP, it's not designed for World v World, it's not designed for high level fractals, and certainly not for raids. That doesn't mean you couldn't use them with some tweaking and give them a try. I've used them in all but raids where it would be frowned upon to use your own build, heaven forbid, in raid. But otherwise, I think you'll find this is a very easy to use. You can hardly mess up at all the rotation. That's why I haven't gone through it. You're free really to do what you like. It's the traits and the utilities that make it so powerful. And easy to use, easy, no mess rotation. And it will make plain sailing of anything that PvE throws at you. I hope you enjoyed this build.